because Gavin Newsom did huge damage to people in California.
What's wrong with Toni Morrison's books?
It's not banned.
What's wrong? It's not true.
2 Palestinian men from Jerusalem that Israel says were affiliated with Hamas.
We are going to talk way too much about the clown show that we called a debate last night between Governor DeSantis and Governor Newsom. Also, Hamas breaks the ceasefire about 40 minutes into an extension of the ceasefire, and believe it or not, Israel blamed. And Santos, George Santos, no longer a member of Congress. Interesting update on that. All that and more coming up on this episode of Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go!
Might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually her name, Jobob.
Live from the dingier of dingy bunkers that are completely and totally and utterly cut off from the outside world, except for you fine folks. My name is Jobob. This is Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. On today, it is Friday, December 1st, the year of our Lord 2023. Dude, I toiled. Is that a good word for this? On whether or not we were going to talk about the debate. And because I realized that if I talk about the debate between Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom last night that was on Sean Hannity's show on Fox News, that's going to be all we're going to talk about, honestly. It isn't, because we do have to get to the Israel-Hamas stuff. And also George Santos no longer being a congressman. He got expelled yesterday, which I feel like is pretty much the entirety of that. So I don't necessarily know how much we need to talk about it. But in deciding whether or not to talk about the debate, it was just ignore it because it means nothing, I think, or go nuts. And so we've decided on the latter. The clown show Circus that masqueraded as a debate yesterday on Fox News was just embarrassing. I won't bury the lead here. And maybe, not maybe, I think a lot of people are not necessarily going to like this. But my initial takeaway after watching, let me say this. I'll be honest. I did not watch it live in full view because I was busy doing stuff. And I don't know. I didn't have time to sit down and watch 90 minutes, including commercials. So I wanted to watch the rerun of it, but Fox News's website, because it is geriatrically run, doesn't have the full thing up there, even though I'm subscribe. I didn't watch the whole thing in real time. Instead, I had to watch it in clip form, which I think pretty much took in the entirety of it. And the takeaway immediately was, and again, you might not like this, but it's just what I thought. Gavin Newsom came out ahead on that. From a PR standpoint, Gavin Newsom won if you're considering attention and clout being awarded to someone after debate. He got pantsed in policy stuff, just absolutely trounced, but he walked in pantsed. The guy walked in with California being just a dismal example of how policies can affect the outcome of a state. He walked in with his pants around his ankles. But because of the debate format, because Republicans are not good at conversation in nuance, because they're not prepared enough, and by this I mean Ron DeSantis and really Hannity too. The whole thing made me so frustrated. Gavin looked better. He just did. And I'll kind of explain why I think that throughout the process of this, and you feel free to disagree. I can feel the comment section heating up already, just because I feel like there's, I don't know, going to be some people that are upset and mad about the fact that I think, honestly, I think Gavin Newsom came out looking better. But I'm going to play this first clip. I think this first one, we've got a bunch of these, so I'm not entirely sure what order they're in. Is Gavin's opening statement, I think. Just watch this.
And I want to answer that very directly. I'll tell you why I'm here. I'm here to tell the truth about the Biden-Harris record and also compare and contrast Ron DeSantis' record and the Republican Party's record as a point of contrast that's as different as daylight and darkness. You want to bring us back to a pre-1960s world, America in reverse. You want to roll back hard-earned national rights on voting rights, on civil rights, on LGBTQ rights, on women's rights, not just access to abortion, but also access to contraception. You want to weaponize grievance. You are focusing on false separateness. You in particular, Ron, are on a banning binge, a cultural purge, intimidating and humiliating people you disagree with. You and President Trump are really trying to light democracy on fire. So, Sean, there are profound differences tonight, and I look forward to engaging. But there's one thing in closing that we have in common is neither of us will be the nominee for our party in 2024.
Okay, so it should go without saying, none of what he said is true. Going from the big thing that he likes to hit on is the cultural banning of books. And we'll get into, there's another clip that we'll talk about that a little bit more. So I think the big thing, takeaway from me, is that, again, none of that is true. And people should know that. And if they don't, then they're not paying attention, and probably none of this means anything anyway. So that being said, these types of debates, I have said this since I became aware of politics. Republicans are just bad at the perception component. In a debate in this format, there is facts and policy, and then there's perception. There is, do your arguments make sense in a cohesive, articulate way? Does the policy feel compelling, like it will work for the people that it will be enforced upon? And also, how does the audience feel about you after the debate? I hate that this is how we run politics, but that's just the reality. And so, in addition to the fight to change the way that politics and debates are done in this country, to hopefully focus solely on freaking policy and not the charisma of a particular candidate, in addition to trying to work a way towards that, you also have to fight the battle that's in front of you. And currently speaking, the battle that's in front of you is a perception battle along with a policy battle. And I would even venture to make the statement that it's more perception, especially in the times of TikTok videos that are 30 seconds long, and that's how people get their news. There is this charm component that can't be neglected. And yet, Republican candidates, whether intentionally or not, continue to neglect it. As Gavin is sitting there saying all of the things, I'm here to defend the Biden administration. Look, I like Ron DeSantis. I think he would be a fantastic president. Just overall, not endorsing him or anything. I just think he would be an effective executive at the executive branch level. But when Gavin is sitting there saying all of the things that he knows to be not true, the moderator knows to be not true, the audience knows to be not true, you don't need to telegraph the idea that you know that it's not true. Does that make sense? You know, when you're in third grade, second grade, elementary school in general, and somebody gets something wrong, let's just say you're giving speeches on something, and you're giving like a group presentation, like group 1 through 6, and group 4 is going. And in group 4, you've got the Poindexter nerdy kid who knows everything about everything, and everyone is annoyed by that kid. And somebody else in his group is giving their part of the presentation, and you can kind of just see him in the corner going, That's not right. No, 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 no. And in reality, he's probably right. Whatever it is that little Jimmy is talking about, little nerdy kid who knows everything, the know-it-all, is probably right about that. But everybody in the class, groups 1 through 5 that's watching the presentation, and more specifically, the group that is actually presenting, all don't like that kid. Regardless of whether or not he has his facts in order, people don't like him. And unfortunately, like I stated before, politics right now is about perception. So to the best of your ability, if you come in with the better ideas, the better outcomes, the better statistics that Ron DeSantis all has, to the best of your ability, don't be that little know-it-all kid in the 3rd grade classroom that is now grown up and is standing behind a podium. When Gavin is saying all of the dumb things that he's saying, and again, we'll get to the banning books thing. There's a big clip there. Don't be that kid that nobody likes and kind of going, no, 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 no. If somebody is saying something ridiculous, this is in politics, but this is also just in life in general, treat it as ridiculous. If DeSantis, instead of sitting there trying to look kind of stick figure, I'm gonna look at him, I'll look at them, clearly thinking about his actions, is just sitting there laid back, giving a smirk when Gavin says, because Gavin does it really, really, really well. And I guess we'll see some clips of that too. But if Ron just sat there and went like, yeah, man, good luck with passing that off on the American people. But let's get back to some reality here. But also we as the conservative movement would come off so much more likable on top of having all of the ideas that are better, more effective, and actually work. I'm going to play this next clip. I forget which one this is, so bear with me. But keep that in mind. Watch the perception of this. I already said at the very beginning, I think Gavin came off better in this debate, despite walking in with his pants around his ankles because of how bad everybody knows California currently is. Watch this next clip. We'll discuss.
That's very clear.
One at a time.
On a per capita age-adjusted basis, California and Florida basically the same. Now, why is that important? Because Gavin Newsom did huge damage to people in California. He ruined livelihoods. We reopened the state very quickly. We saved thousands of jobs. We saved hundreds of thousands of jobs, thousands of businesses. We had our kids in school. He had the kids locked out of school because of the teachers union. That is having a generational impact. California has one of the lowest literacy rates in the country. In the most recent NAEP exam, Florida came in number 3 for 4th grade reading. California was far, far behind. So you should apologize for not getting your kids in school. Why didn't you get the kids in school in the summer of 2020 like we did?
The only
you bowed
person,
to the teachers
the only
union.
person
You didn't do the job you should have done.
All right.
Okay, that's why I wanted to play that one. At the very end, Ron did what I think he should have done from the very beginning. And I think what this comes out of, and again, having taken in Republican politics for a very long time, not as long as some of you, I'm aware of that, but having taken in politics as an art form for a very long time, Ron does this thing that Republicans do, I think, primarily out of respect for the other people on the stage. If you notice at the very beginning of that clip, and I'm not going to play it again because it's long and we have a lot to get to. If you notice at the very beginning of that clip, Ron will say, Gavin Newsom did this and did that. And Gavin Newsom did this and that and this and that. And is pointing to him kind of offhandedly. The dude is standing right there. I get it. The not going directly to the individual on the stage is, I think, this thing that is just ingrained in like the old 80s, 90s way of doing TV debates where you don't talk directly to the person. Instead, you talk to the camera and the American people. But in the social media world, you can do that any day. You can turn your camera on and just talk to people. The audience doesn't need to be talked to like that. Have a conversation as if you are having a conversation in real life. When he says, Gavin Newsom took so long to open up the schools. And again, I'll give him credit because he did it at the very end. Instead of saying that in this buttoned up Poindexter kid type way, turn to him and go, Gavin, why did you decide to keep the schools closed as long as you did? Was it because you're beholden to the teachers union, who, if you remember, colluded with the federal government to put out advice to keep schools closed so they can make more money? That's all been proven. But instead, Republicans, in a more conversational format, or at least it's turning into, and I hope it turns into exclusively a more conversational format, we still speechify, and we're making a speech and bold statements. And again, it goes without saying, Ron is right. Everything he's saying here is absolutely correct. But the way in which he does it, and the way in which a lot of Republicans do it, is why we get this sense from kind of the disengaged, but especially from the lefty side of the aisle, of, yeah, these uptight pricks want to do this and that and this. Yeah, because we look like it. Our body language says so. The policy doesn't agree. But that's the nuance that people aren't going to actually pay attention to. Perception matters, and it matters a lot. I want to get to this. I think this is the book banning stuff. Watch this.
You've been on a banning bench. 1,406 books have been banned just last year under Ron DeSantis' leadership. I love that he keeps pulling this out. I've seen this. He's been doing this all over the campaign trail. What's wrong with Toni Morrison's books?
It's not banned.
What's wrong? It's not.
Look at. Okay, just really quick. Notice how early on in his statement that Gavin goes to dissent. What's wrong with this? And then he goes into we'll talk about his whole thing about getting specific and granular. But then again, notice Ron DeSantis is, instead of laughing it off and going, no, dude, you're just flat out wrong, and laughing at him for making ridiculous statements, he does the nerd kid in third grade thing and says, it's not banned. And he's right, but it looks bad. Keep watching.
Not true.
Not.
What's wrong with Amanda Gorman's
It's not
and
banned.
the poetry?
Those are false
1,406.
narratives.
1,406 books
False narratives.
have been banned on your banning binge in the state of Florida. As it relates to parental rights, come on, California, it's in our Constitution, parental engagement. It's called the LCFF process. We actually require parental engagement on curriculum development. And we don't, complete lie, we don't require K through third grade sexual education. That doesn't happen until middle school. What you're doing is using education as a sword for your cultural purge.
Yeah. So you probably noticed a couple things there. I want to hit on this before I forget it. The use of different words. Gavin says, well, we don't require sexual education for K through third grade. That's insane. Yeah, but that's not why everybody's mad, Gavin. Everyone's mad because you allow it. Yeah, nobody's saying that the state of California is requiring that upon all schools, because they're not, because there's several huge swaths geographically of California that are dark red, super conservative areas. So yeah, the state is not requiring that, at least as of yet. If Senator Scott Wiener had his way, that would be a different story. But yeah, nobody's questioning whether or not you require it. What we're all mad about is that you're allowing it. But I see your trickery and your slick use of words earlier in the comment section. Hold on, if I can scroll all the way back. I think it was like one of the first ones. Jody said, Newsom is Obama slick. Yeah. Yeah, and the verbiage he uses kind of dictates that. Not required. Yeah, dude, but you're allowing it. And that's the problem. And then goes into, he starts off with this is another thing. I was talking to about this with my wife yesterday while we were kind of watching some of the clips. I was like, notice, okay, this is one of the things that Gavin does that he's good at in terms of this conversational debate format. He knows that he can't win on the broad policy ideas, but then guys like Sean and Ron DeSantis, for some reason, not forget, but are caught off guard when he goes hyper granular. What did he say? What's wrong with Toni Morrison books? I don't even know who that is. I'll be honest. No disrespect to whoever Toni Morrison is. I have no idea who that is. But Gavin will pick an author that Ron DeSantis and Florida have deemed, hey, this book is inappropriate for this age group, and say, why are you banning this specific author? And does Ron DeSantis know who that is? I don't even know. I don't know if he actually knows, but he said it's not banned. The correct response, and the way that you're going to get more people on your side, is look at Gavin while he's saying that. Maybe even lean over on the podium and go, what are you talking about? Can you explain that to me? Because you just rattled off a whole bunch of things. And, I know that you know that's not true. So I'm wondering why it is that you're saying that. And again, I'm continuing on with how I think Republicans should respond to this. And again, if the American people aren't aware of this, yes, some books are inappropriate for some ages. I guess if you would like to call that banning the books, that's a weird term that for some reason Gavin here is using. But I think we can all agree that some books are appropriate for K through 3. Some books are appropriate for 4 through 6. Some books are appropriate for junior high. Not all books are appropriate for all levels. Right, Gavin? Don't we agree on that? But no, we don't do that. And again, I don't want to hit DeSantis too hard because I like DeSantis, but to sit there and go, it's not true. It's not true. It's not true. Nobody likes that, dude. Somebody in the comment section earlier too. It's Jody again. Says when President Trump debates, he stares it down, which is awesome to watch. Yeah, there's a perception component there. Donald Trump is so good at it. There's times where I think he's less tactful. Yeah, and I think he should, I don't know, employ some of the strategies that lefties and Gavin also employ. But he's effective on a debate stage. And we, again, as just conservatives and freedom lovers, are just not good at it. I got one more clip to play of this, and then we'll be done with this clown circus show. But watch this, and we'll discuss.
President of the United States put a $14 billion package in front of Congress. They can.
Oh, I wanted to play this because this is another one of those specific things that Gavin looked up. He's wrong about, right? Okay, so Gavin had this specific thing that he knew he was going to bring to the table. He also knows that he's wrong about it, but because Sean and Ron don't have any idea what he's talking about, probably because they're probably not focused on legislation pitched by the president a couple months ago when they have their own states to run or his own TV show to run. They're probably not aware of the specifics of it, don't know how to combat it. Watch this.
Act on today.
And what would that?
They haven't done anything in 2 years.
Do?
This Congress,
what do you
literally
support?
not a single piece
you support
of
a border wall?
legislation. I support the $14 billion package president's put forward that includes 2,300 border agents and customs officials. By the way, also includes $850 million in new technology for border security. You hear nothing from Ron DeSantis. You hear nothing, Sean, respectfully. You hear nothing from the Republican Party. They play politics.
I'm almost out of time.
Put the plan up to address
does it
the
worry?
anxiety
Let me
around
ask
security.
the question another way. Does it worry you that our top geopolitical foes, the number one state sponsor of terror, Iran, China, Russia, Afghanistan, Syria, that they're at our southern border? You're a border state governor. Does that concern you at all?
Why else would I have put the answer is yes. Why else would I put the National Guard? Why would I have just increased it by 50% on the largest port in the Western Hemisphere in my state? I mean, this guy has no record. The fact that.
Yeah. So again, Gavin just looks good. He's wrong, but he looks good doing it. And that's what irritates me the most. And it probably should irritate everybody the most. The $14 billion package that he's talking about is a Biden proposed package for border security, where he puts 2,500 new border agents on the board. The problem with it is, the problem that Republicans have claimed to have had with that package is that, but it doesn't stop people. It facilitates the process of people coming in. In other words, it doesn't put up a barrier or a wall or something that will stop people from coming in. It helps the bottleneck of people coming in, which, I didn't know the specifics of that. I had to look it up too. But the overall point being that when Gavin says, well, $14 billion and 2,500 border agents, the response, and you probably could just shoot in the dark there. Maybe they don't even necessarily know the specifics. Probably go, Kevin, that's not true. You know it. I think my main point here is, rather than telling the American people that what Gavin is saying isn't true when he's saying it, turn to him, go, Kevin, you know that's not true. We know that's not true. Everybody out there watching knows that you know that we know it's not true. So why are you saying it? Understandably, it's because he wants to get the clicks on the internet. His team was pumping out clips after clip after clip after clip on Twitter, on Facebook, on everywhere. And they were good at doing it. DeSantis was too, but it's just not. There's another component that we didn't really talk about, but it was weird. It was a weird format with Sean Hannity, who was also debating Gavin Newsom from the moderator's bench seat. It was just. I think here's what my ultimate thing is. I want Republicans to hire me as an image consultant. That is what I want to do. I want to sit down with Ron for a couple hours over the span of a couple weeks. Be like, all right, here's what we're doing. We're going to de-nerdify you a little bit. I love to do that with a bunch of different politicians. Vivek doesn't need any help at all. But he also says some crazy stuff that I'm like, dude, you're exactly the charismatic type of individual conservatives need. Why are you shooting your mouth off on stuff that you're going to change your mind on a week later? Anyways, at the end of the day, that's it. This was a prime example in Republicans have better ideas and are worse at presenting them. Or at least worse at making the American people feel like they're good ideas. Objectively speaking, they're better ideas, better policies, better outcomes, but they're bad at making it clear to the American people that that's the case. And people like Gavin get away with the jargon that everybody uses nonstop of banning books and women's rights and voting rights and saving democracy. And because Republicans don't sit there and laugh at them and instead go, no, we're not, even though they're right, it galvanizes the other side to go, yeah, it looks like the Republicans are doing that. They're lying when they say they aren't. Treat absurdity as absurd, and we're going to have a much better outcome. Anyways, did we want to spend 30 minutes talking about the clown show Circus that was a debate last night? No. Did we happen to do it? Yes. So with that, we'll go to this. A clown show in a clown show. There's no real need to get into this all that much because I do want to talk about the Hamas thing. Sorry. I'll pull up this. Jeff, I see your comment. I'm going to pull that up later because it's somewhat irrelevant. George Santos has gotten expelled from Congress, kicked out, no longer a congressman. Good riddance. That guy was a crazy person. Did he say things and probably vote in a way that I would agree on? Yes. Was he an insane person who could not help but lie about everything? Also, yes. So, adios, sayonara. Good luck avoiding prison. But to hit on this too, and I know this is a complete divergent topic of what we're talking about. Yesterday, there was a ceasefire that was put into place, or an extension of the ceasefire. And then 40 minutes after the ceasefire, Hamas broke the ceasefire in Jerusalem, which prompted Israel to re-engage in the fighting in Gaza, in which all the headlines were Israel fighting again in Gaza, killing Palestinians. All right. So Israel attacks, breaking the ceasefire. Sorry, Hamas attacks, breaking the ceasefire. Israel blamed. Watch this clip from Good Morning America, and it's all pretty self-evident. We don't need to discuss it at crazy length, but watch this.
This morning, that ceasefire between Israel and Hamas extended for a 7th day. And just minutes later, this shooting attack in Jerusalem. In the surveillance video circulating online, you can see this car pull up to a bus stop. 2 Palestinian men from Jerusalem that Israel says were affiliated with Hamas begin firing. In another video circulating online, you can hear the dozens of rounds fired. People at the bus stop fleeing for safety. Within seconds, off-duty soldiers returning fire, killing the assailants. 3 Israelis were killed, 16 wounded.
Again, horrible situation, tragic situation. But the only reason I played that, well, there's lots of importance to that, but I think the big reason is, one, a lot of the media outlets are already back on the Israel has restarted their attack on Gaza. Why did they do that? Oh, was it because the whole ceasefire thing was broken by Hamas again? Remember, there was also a ceasefire on October 7th that Hamas broke. So in what world are we supposed to be like, oh yeah, the darn Israelis keep doing the bad things? I don't know how survivable it is going to be if the narrative is this wild. We've got some more video clips of people protesting and all of that, but it doesn't. What are we going to say that we haven't said already before about this whole situation and the pro-Hamas protesters in America who are taking to the streets to exercise their First Amendment and be wrong loudly. Anyways, that'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. I know we went really long yesterday. I'm not sure if we're going to do that consistently or what, but today specifically, I also got to get to do some other stuff. If you don't already, give me a follow on any of your social media accounts. Just type in JOBOB. You'll be able to find me pretty much anywhere. Getter, Twitter, Facebook, social. I always say, I throw social media in there when listing off the social medias. Anywhere on social media, you can find me. Just JOBOB. You'll be able to find me pretty much. Just Google it, honestly, or DuckDuckGo it, or whatever search engine platform. Bing it. Whatever engine you use, you'll be able to find me there. Today at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, I will be hosting Isabel Brown's live stream on YouTube, Rumble, all of the other places. So if you get a chance, we'll probably just rehash this dumbness of Republicans and their debating. But be on the lookout for that. That's at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. We'll see you there. But if not, we'll see you on Monday. Same time, same place. God bless America.